It is time to talk Arkansas football with our recruiting insider, Otis Kirk. As always, he joins us over the phone right now. And Otis, some big news coming out today. Arkansas has picked up a commitment from Bryce Stevens, a wide receiver out of OKC.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, this is the sixth player out of Oklahoma to commit to Arkansas. I mean, they're really cleaning up in that state. They're getting some good football players. The thing about Bryce that he brings to the table is speed. You know, he's a 4.38, 4.27 guy. He's ran that at Stillwater at a combine, so at camp. So I mean, he can fly. This was last June. He recorded those times. This kid can fly. He's not really big. He's probably 6 foot, maybe 165, maybe 170 at best, or at the most. Not best, but most. He got a lot of offers. A&M had offered him, Baylor, several schools had offered him. He caught 21 passes last season, had 6 touchdown catches. The season before, though, he had 43 receptions, over 1,000 yards receiving and 15 touchdowns. So this is a kid that has got a lot of speed and is another playmaker for Justin Stepp out there at wide receiver to go with some of the ones they've got in that class, you know. So, yeah, it was a good pickup for Arkansas.
Yeah, and Otis, you know, it's impressive that this Sam Pittman staff is able to recruit so well right now, especially doing just virtual visits. It seems like they're going to have to stick with that for quite some time now as well.
Yeah, Hunter Yurchek the other day was asked that question. He said that he doesn't foresee any more visits for the rest of the calendar year, and if that happens, and it's very likely that's very likely the case. But if that happens, that is something that's really going to be something that's just never happened in college sports before. The last visitor Arkansas had was actually like March the 9th, I believe it was, on a Monday. They had Caden Salter in. The Saturday before that, they had a junior day, and then February the 1st, they had a junior day. But no official visits to Arkansas, none. And so, you know, if there's no calendar, I mean, no visits of any kind, unofficial, official, for the rest of the calendar year, that means that a lot of kids are going to have to make decisions on colleges without ever seeing it, except for a virtual visit. And also, turn that around, the coaches are going to have to are offering and taking kids that they've never actually seen in person. Seen them and met them and met the families and talked to them. Oh, they can do it on virtual visit, but it's different. You know, I've talked to kids. There's been a lot of recruits tell me, said, you know, if I have to make my decision that way, I will. But I really want to go visit because you want to get a feel, not just the school, but the people, the community. You want to see more than just the facilities. You really want to get to know people. And, you know, I mean, it's just going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how, if this holds up, like Hunter's talking about, and I strongly suspect it will, then it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. You know, they'll probably move the early signing date back. They might even just have one, who knows? I mean, but kids are going to be going to places they've never been to. Coaches are going to be bringing kids in that they've never actually met in person. It's going to be so interesting to see how this turns out. Will there be a lot of transfers after a year? A lot of long faces after a year, you know, like he was 6'3", he's 5'11", you know. I mean, so yeah, I mean, seriously, I just, it's going to be interesting in both counts, the coaches and the players, how this turns out if this holds up. And like I said, I have no reason to think it won't. I just don't see, with the way the virus is not let up any, I just don't see them letting kids travel all over the country, visiting schools. You've got this, there's just so much in play with the social distancing, the mask, the travel. It's not, I just don't see it happening. And it's just going to be interesting to, at the end of the day, to not only see who signs where, but to see how it works out when they do get there. Because one thing we've always heard, Terry, and you've heard me say this a million times, and other recruiting people too. These kids talk about, boy, I knew it was nice at Arkansas, but man, it's a lot nicer than I thought it was. Well, now they're not going to get to see that a lot nicer than they thought it was. So Sam Pittman and them is really doing a good job doing this because it's under very difficult circumstances. I mean, this guy has been dealt some bad cards since he got on campus, and he's still going strong. So you got to take your hat off to Sam and this staff because they've done a great job, and it's been some unforeseen circumstances all the way around.
It's a big decision to make without actually being able to visit the campus. But one guy we don't really have to worry about with that is Caden Turner from Fayetteville High School. You and I actually had the opportunity to meet with him and talk with him, a linebacker.
Yeah, Brooks Ellis Part 2. I don't know if Caden will like me saying that, but I mean, that kid looks like, I asked him, you were talking about Drake Greenlaw, and I said, Brooks Ellis, because they even remind me of each other. The first time I saw Brooks was over on the field there at Fayetteville High School. But no, I mean, Caden's a good linebacker. He got offered by Arkansas. Kansas and Indiana had offered him previously. And, he's 6'1", 217, can really run. He's the type player that you want at linebacker. I saw him play at the end of last season a game, and he's someone I think is only going to get better and better and better on the field. And he's something. He told you and I think you were listening when he said this. I think it was after the interview, but we were walking back to the car carrier, and he said he used to be at Greenland, because I asked him about J.J. Hollingsworth, because I know they're good friends, and he said, yeah, I used to go to Greenland. So, think how close it was. Greenland's never had a kid sign with Arkansas. They almost had two get offered in the same class, because he went to Greenland for a while. So that was interesting. And but he's the second one at Fayetteville that's been offered. They've also offered the wide receiver Isaiah Sategna over there, and Fayetteville should have a better football team this year. They've got a couple of studs there, I know, and we'll see how it turns out for him. But he's got some recruiting, and that Arkansas offer meant the world to him. That's what he's worked for a long time.
Well, I know Caden, just like every other high school football player, is excited for this upcoming season, and they're actually going to get to practice pretty soon here with helmets.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal, and I'm proud Asa is he's got a committee together, I'm proud he didn't just say, hey, no, I didn't expect Asa to say no fall sports. I didn't expect that, but I'm glad he didn't. You want to see these kids get to play football if at all possible. I mean, at least have the chance. And then if something happens and it gets where they can't play, they have to cancel the season, then so be it. But you want to see them at least get a chance. I mean, there's been travel teams in basketball and baseball playing all over the country this summer. There's been, there's other stuff going on, and it's survived. Major League Baseball is taking a hit. Now, the reason I bring up Major League Baseball because we're talking high school football, but I think it all plays in together. I mean, that because you see the problems they're having. There are going to be some problems. There are going to be some issues, and I don't think anybody's naive enough to think there won't be. And it's not just high school, but college, NFL, and the whole way up. There's going to be some issues there's going to be some bumps in the road along the way. But how can you fix those bumps? I mean, and I think high school football. So many people depend on that. These kids, I mean, it's not like a lot of people were. You sit at home, you don't go out much and stuff. These kids are not going to do that. They're going to be out there. They're not. And hey, we were all that age one time. They're not going to sit at home. They're used to playing football, and I'm convinced that high school football, people who participate in that get in less trouble outside of for his legal stuff. I think the academics are better. It's a structured setting for a kid 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, 19. It's a structured learning session there and structure for them. And I think that's important at that age. I really do. And a lot of these kids, I know my coach used to be the mayor up here at Johnson for a while, Ronnie Barron, who died. I mean, that's somebody you always respect that person. You always remember that person, if he was doing a good job. Yes, somebody that really has an influence. What I'm saying, high school coaches have an influence on these kids' lives way beyond just the actual game. And I think it's important to try to help high school football. I know a lot of states like Oklahoma and some of the neighboring states are going. I was in Missouri yesterday, and they were talking about Kansas is full speed ahead. So I think it's good that they're going to go this route here, and he's just being a little cautious there with maybe delaying something. But I think at the end of the day, they'll play, and hopefully they get to play a whole good season and not a lot of tragedy hits or anything like that. You don't want that, but I'm glad they're going to get to play, and we'll see how it works out for them.
Well, one more recruit we have to talk about is Cordell Russell from Mesquite, Texas. He plays on both sides of the ball, but assuming that he got his offer from Justice Stepp, I'm guessing he's going to stay as a wide receiver for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, he's 2023, so he's down the road a little ways. And, he's 6'1", about 175. He's got offers to Kansas, Tennessee, Illinois State, and Arkansas. He's someone that's got a lot of speed. Here's a kid in the 10th grade, Tara, who can dunk. Going into 10th grade this year, can dunk a basketball. I mean, he's very athletic. He's very athletic. The offers are going to start pouring in for this player, and he is an excellent athlete and can play on both sides of the ball. Arkansas offered him Friday, and I think it was a good offer. And I think that's someone that Coach Stepp may have a shot at getting. I mean, Cordell is interested in Arkansas, and certainly Arkansas is obviously interested in him, offering him that scholarship. But he's got really good hands. And as I said, he's so athletic because, in the 9th grade, he was dunking a basketball. So he looks the part of an athlete. He works hard, and that's what you want. And schools are catching on to it. And he's got 4 offers now. I venture to guess that pretty soon he will start having more and more offers. And by the time he gets to be a senior, if he hasn't made a decision by then, he'll probably be in the 20s or 30s as far as offers or numbers of offers.
All right, Otis Kirk, our recruiting insider, thank you so much for your time as always.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you a lot.